important one for all our customers on how you can kind of move forward in terms of the current scenarios. In order to take this forward, we have Prashant, who is our Chief Operations Officer, joined by Guru Murthy, who is our Head of Compliance. I'll just let them introduce themselves, and then Prashant will kind of take it over, right, in terms of guiding you, helping you, right. And in between, when we are kind of walking through the presentations and the discussions, please feel free to share your Q&A in the Q&A tab. Either in between or at the end of the presentation, we will take those questions up, and both our speakers will kind of try to address them. Right. So Prashant, if you can just introduce yourself, and followed by Guru.
Okay, thank you, Amir. Hi all, Prashant here. I've been with Ozontel since 2011. Currently, I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Ozontel. Okay. I will be taking you through this TCCCPR regulations, what we are doing on 140, how do we navigate this entire new scenario which is coming up in the industry. Okay. Guru sir, over to you.
Yeah, this is Guru Murthy here, and I have been with Ozontel from 2012 onwards, and I handle the compliance and regulatory and governance and revenue assurance in Ozontel. And I carry overall 40 plus years of experience both in public sector and private sector, including a telco. So that's where I am, and we eagerly look forward to taking your feedback post this session. We are here to answer all the questions. Over to you, Prashant.
Okay, thank you, Guru sir. So I had Guru sir as my backup because if there is a real compliance or legal question which comes up, right, he's the expert in that and not me. So we just wanted a backup just in case there is a legal question which comes up. Okay. Now, quickly onto what we will be covering today, right? Okay. So these are some of the things we wanted to address in this webinar. There is a lot of confusion on which call scenario is to be addressed in what way. Like, should we use 140 series for everything? 160 series is in the press for the last 2-3 months, but nobody still has 160 numbers, right? And how do you address each call scenario? Okay. Also, one thing which we didn't put in the PPT, but which is very, very important is what is the telecom team's interpretation of the regulation? What is TRAI, who is the government body, their interpretation of the scenarios? And these two are kind of different because telcos are also trying to run their business. They kind of tone down the regulation sometimes, and hence for every scenario, it's very, very important to understand what the government body is saying rather than what the telecom operators are saying. Okay. Then, of course, we briefly discuss about these changes which are there. But primary use case is 140 series for promotional calls right now. 160 series isn't there in the market yet, so we are not covering that right now. As soon as TRAI and DOT end up with their recommendations on how to proceed, how to acquire, what are the steps to follow for 160 series, we will be conducting another webinar on that. Okay. But within 140 itself, there are a lot of steps to do, and this is, if I think most of you would have been doing this for SMS with the DLT portals already, but for voice calls, I think we were not doing it till about a month back, but now it is being enforced as a mandatory thing, and hence every business will need to understand about the 140 series and how do you make calls from that. Okay. Then we also put in a point of getting your own trunks. Of course, this comes with its own risks and rewards. So we will discuss that at the end, because we get this question a lot, that what if I get my own trunks? You can, of course you can, but the point being, with these changes in regulation, what is the risk your business is getting involved with if you get trunks or numbers on your own name? Okay. So there is certain gray areas which even DOT and TRAI haven't clarified. So we will also discuss those aspects. Okay. So first of all, addressing various call scenarios. Okay. So inbound is pretty clear most of the times, right? Your customer is calling you as a business and you are answering those calls. So this has to be pretty straightforward. There is no legal complication here. And everything has to run with a normal number or a TFN or a virtual mobile number, which you're forwarding on to telecom lines. So this is pretty straightforward. No licensing required. You don't need a DLT portal for this. This can continue. Okay. Now, the second case within inbound, where your agents are you taking the calls on mobile numbers, like your field sales force who take calls on mobile numbers, you will need outbound activated on those on your inbound numbers, right? That's where kind of slightly complicated, but still risk free. As long as a business, you're not using those numbers to make customer calls, outgoing calls, but you keep this strictly for receiving incoming calls. There's no risk in that and no compliance involved. These calls are going to your own employees and hence a straightforward routing of PSTN call. So pretty much okay. Now on the outbound side, there are certain things which are a gray area, certain things which are actually misinterpreted. Like I said, there is a telco interpretation, which we as businesses have also carried it as an assumption now. And TRAI has kind of invalidated everything in the recent past. Okay. So first, let's start with sales and marketing, which is like 100% clear thing. Any sales and marketing call, which is a commercial call, okay, that has to be on 140 series only. So we have customers who have said, see, I receive leads on the website. Okay. We are taking consent from the customer. Typically, we have that checkbox, right? In our TNCs, which says you are giving us consent to call you and talk about this product or talk about our services. Okay. So typically, usually customers are okay. Now, if you ask me practically, people are okay to receive those calls. Okay. And they give the consent also to receive that call. But what has happened is TRAI has said that the consent you're taking on your website or in a form which a customer is filling is invalid. The consent has to be on a DLT opt-in portal only. So we have slides on how to get those DLT opt-ins. Okay. But the DLT opt-in means that you're supposed to call them for commercial calls from 140 numbers only, not from a normal number at all. So uh, historically, our assumption has been that if a customer has given consent, we can call them from a normal number. But the direct interpretation of TRAI of the TCCPR regulation 2018, the regulation hasn't changed. This is just that telcos have given us an interpretation that it's okay if you have consent on the website, that is a valid proof. But now, last 1.5 month onwards, TRAI has started saying that these are not valid proofs if you don't have a DLT opt-in for that customer and you have not called them on using a 140 number. That means that this complaint is valid. Hence, you follow the regulation and take necessary actions as needed. Okay. Now there are a lot of transactional calls which happen for customer KYC document. Sometimes it is a service call. Customer raised a ticket like my water filter isn't working. Now that company will need to call that customer. Okay. Your delivery is delayed and your delivery boy needs to call that customer. All these cases, okay, while these are proper transactional calls, now have fallen into the gray area since the last 1.5 month. Previously, the interpretation was these are proper transactional calls. Even if a DNC complaint is raised, somebody by mistake raised the complaint, that is invalid, and telcos were also saying it is invalid. But in the past 1.5 month review, they have simply invalidated all this process and said without a DLT opt-in, you cannot call customers. Okay. And they're enforcing these norms very strictly moving forward. We are still in that gray area patch where the implementation or enforcement hasn't started. 1st October is the deadline given to all of us. Okay. So you still have certain time where people might say you can call from normal numbers if it is a transactional call. Okay. But starting 1st October, all of this is going to end. But they haven't yet released 160 series. I know that will be the third question and the third point, right? 160 series is not released and we don't have a directive on how to use it also as of now. Okay. So this is how various call scenarios, at least we try to cover some of the broad use cases which are there for our customers. Okay. Somebody was raising a hand. Are there questions? Okay. Yeah. Okay, now what is allowed and not allowed? Okay,
There is one question, Prashant. I think before probably you move, if you want to take that.
Can you read that?
So customer service callbacks are also to be made from 140.
Currently, yes. Like I said, this last 1.5 months has been a complete gray area, or you still have certain judgmental call to take. But if you get a DNC complaint on that number, even for customer service calls, it could be by mistake. Okay. But still TRAI is considering that as a valid complaint right now. Okay. That's been the problem statement, and hence this slide of what is allowed and not allowed, we are clearly talking about what TRAI is saying, not what telcos are saying or what any of the cloud telephony vendors are saying in the market. We are clearly talking about just what the rule is as it has to be interpreted as per law. Okay. Now, new number series to be used for voice communication, that is that 160 series. The rules of 160 series are still not known. That is an unknown. What do we know as of now? Sales and promotional calls strictly have to move to 140 series. Okay. And what are commercial calls? This is the copy paste of the definition from the regulation itself. Okay. This includes marketing and sales, upsells, cross sells, which are for your own customers. Typically, upsell, cross sell happens to your own customer. But even these calls are interpreted as commercial calls and hence have to be on 140. Okay. Calls should not be done through regular phone lines if it is a commercial call. As simple as that. Okay. Now, 160, there is no communication yet, so we can't discuss that much as of now. Just that we can just say that most of the operators have said 3 to 4 weeks by when they will be able to provide that. Typically around October end is what they are saying right now. Okay. No other number series to be used directly or indirectly through intermediaries. This is something which has come out as a email notice through TRAI, which means that normal numbers cannot be used for calling. Okay. But like I said, till October 1st, I think you still have a little bit of leeway to use those numbers. But October 1st is when the deadline is for operators to start reporting to TRAI on any complaints which are coming on normal numbers. And probably they might disable outbound on normal. That is not yet confirmed. Okay. So that would be a disruption again. Okay. They're yet to provide clarity if you can use normal numbers for outgoing calls. This clarity isn't there. So what will happen with normal numbers is again a gray area as of now. Till that 160 regulation and clarity comes through, we don't know what is the actual rule to follow for normal numbers at all. Okay. And like Guru sir usually says, if you fall in the gray area, better follow what is valid, but let's not fall into the gray area also, especially with screws tightening up and everything being reviewed by TRAI daily nowadays. Okay. Now, what will happen if you don't follow this? Okay. TRAI has sent out a notice to the telcos on 13th August, that which was later circulated to everybody in the market also. Okay. And there is a public link to that which can be posted. Okay. Basically, any non-compliance will result in disconnection of all voice resources and blacklisting of the vendors across telecom operators. So you cannot even order voice resources at all for 2 years if you get blacklisted. Okay. So, but at the end of the slide, I'll cover on there is a first warning, second warning, and then the blacklisting happens. So you will have at least sufficient warning on what it is. But if you get 3 complaints in the same day, then you're gone. Okay, that's what the rule is. Okay. Then I'm simply moving over to how do you register for 140 series numbers. But before that, Amir, let's go through Q&A. I'm seeing a lot of chats popping up. Can you read questions which are valid and in order? We'll try to answer them.
Yes. The first one is, do companies need to register as RTM, or can we take services from partners?
You can take services from partners like Ozontel or anybody, but you have to be registered on the DLT portal. That's the first step, like we mentioned here on the slide. And typically, this again changed in the last 2 days. Operators were saying any DLT registration is fine. You can register your client's entity ID with us and give a 140 number. And we were doing that. In the process, a lot of registrations were failing. now they have changed the stance. In fact, both major operators, Tata and Airtel, they have said that if I am giving you, let's say, Airtel 140 number, your entity should also be registered on DLT portal of Airtel. For example, most of the clients might be registered on Vodafone for SMS. So your entity ID remains the same. That doesn't change even if you register on Airtel. But you will still have to go and register on Airtel so that we can give you a Airtel 140 number. So which you can use as a business. Okay. Yeah, Amir, next question.
Next is a lot of people have asked. I think we can kind of club these, which is regarding the transactional calls till the 160 comes in. Can 140 solve that?
Yeah, so we have certain slides on how it can solve, but there is a cost associated with the opt-ins. Okay. So you can take DND customers opt-ins also and still make calls to them using 140 series. That is allowed. Okay. So we will discuss that in the further slides anyway, which is like kind of this last box here in the flow. Yeah.
And I think on the 161 kind of thinking is some assumptions some of I think our customers has is that is 160 only for BFSI.
No, initially that's how the press release started. But in the last 1 month, since we have directly started consulting with TRAI officials, what is coming out is 160 will be across the board, across industry. They said initially it is only for BFSI. The customers, people who are asking that question are right in that aspect. But now the TRAI officials are saying it is across the industry. Okay. Any further questions, Amir?
Lot at that, but I think we can kind of take that up in between.
Okay. So let's continue. Now, in all this, right now, for sales and promotional calls, if you're not supposed to use normal numbers and use 140 series, what is the process for it? Okay. So first thing is you should be registered at least on one DLT portal. And you typically for SMS, most of the businesses have already registered. We also know that. So you will already have a DLT login. But depending on which number you are being given, which telco's number you are being given, okay, you will have to register on that telco portal also. But now you don't need to pay that 5,900 rupees. You just have to go and register is what we got to know from Tata and Airtel legal teams today. Only then we can actually register you as a principal entity with the DLT with your entity ID and provide you that 140 header, or it's called as a header, but basically the 140 number. Okay. Then the business, whoever is registered from that business side, their job starts where they will have to upload some documents like a GST registration or a memorandum of association, which actually has the same vertical as you are in. Like, let's say we registered you as a healthcare provider. Then your description of the document you upload in DLT should show that you are a healthcare provider. If you say BFSI, then it should clearly show that you are an insurance company or a bank or a financial services or a fintech. Only then the operator approves that header, which means once the operator approves the header, which is kind of step 5 here in this slide, only then you can actually start making the calls. Okay. If we follow steps exactly, that's when you can actually start making the calls. Okay. Now, in all this, right? Okay. One thing which has come out, and I just changed this just before this webinar, was you have to be registered on the same telecom provider's DLT from where we are providing you the number. Since all of you are our customers, I'm openly saying that because we've given from different carriers to different customers, depending on wherever the 140 numbers were available, because these numbers in itself are in a shortage right now. Across the board, 140 numbers are not there. Okay. So wherever we can acquire from different carriers, we are terminating their trunks and trying to provide to our customers directly. Okay. So depending on whether we have given you a Vodafone or a Airtel or a Tata or a Jio, you will have to be registered on that DLT portal. Only then we can onboard you with the further steps. Okay. Now, what is our role as a service provider? Our job ends once we register you on the DLT portal with your entity ID and map that 140 number against your business. Rest of the steps, which are like the bottom 3 steps, are actually between you and the telecom provider. And After the telecom provider approves, all the steps are your team steps. Okay, so we'll cover them one by one. Okay, now how do you get a 140 number? So Ozontel or any telemarketer can provide you with a 140 number. Okay, you have to be, first thing, we have to be registered on all the operators if you want trunks from all the operators, which we have done. Okay. Now, once we have the numbers, we are allocating numbers to each one of you, depending on which business you are, you have an entity ID and all of that. Okay. Once that number is assigned, we will have to put that in against your entity ID in the DLT portal. And once we submit the 140 number against your entity ID, we get a status like this on our side. Okay. So for example, this is a healthcare provider who has approved the registration we have done for them, which means they have said, okay, Ozontel is my partner and we are using this 140 number with them. So they approved it. Now it is actually sent for modifications to them by the operator directly, as you can see as a last action. So this is how we see the status on our side. Now, why was the modification asked? Because the uploaded document did not have any kind of validation that they are a healthcare provider. But the business description said they are a healthcare provider. Hence, it was asked for a modification. Okay. So now the business will have to upload some document where they are shown as a healthcare provider, and then the telecom operator will approve that. Okay. Now, what happens once we have assigned you a 140 number? There are clearly 3 or 4 steps. So one is you have to select the business category. Okay. So it could be banking, entertainment, e-commerce, real estate, multiple verticals are given there. Okay. But ideally your upload supporting document should have a reference of that category. Only then the telcos are approving your 140 number. Okay. Supporting document should clearly show that description, which I would say is like the key step in this 4 things. Purpose, of course, you can write a brief action of what you will use this number for. Like it could be used for website leads which are coming in, you are calling them. You can say you're using it for collections calls for your own customers. It could be used for cross-sell, upsell. So you have to mention the purpose also. Okay. Purpose could be broad, that you can say outreach to customers for sales. Then you can use it for a cross-sell, upsell or new website inquiry. So purpose is not audited as much as the document you have uploaded. Okay. This is one key point to note. Okay. And once it is done, the next step, actually, I didn't put it here because it's on the operator side. The operator will approve your 140 number, and then the next steps start. Okay. So before we proceed to next steps, Amir, let's take some questions again.
Yeah. I think the one that it's kind of a repeat process. If customer requests for a callback, right, or if it's a service call, that should it be from 140 till that 160 comes?
Yeah, till the 160 comes, we are suggesting all our customers to use 140 only. Okay. You cannot reach to DND numbers if you don't get a DLT opt-in. Okay. But at least you are legally compliant. We are trying to ensure that every one of our customers is legally compliant and don't fall into any of the non-compliance zones. Okay. So ideally right now, in the current scenario, we are suggesting everyone to use 140 only. Okay. There are certain customers who have gone ahead, got their own trunks. That is that last slide on KYC for getting your own trunks. But that's again, if you ask me, it is a risk you as a business are taking. That is a conscious call, probably because you are confident no customer will complain. And you know that also. Generally, it depends, right? If you're calling everybody who is in a tier 3 or tier 4 town, usually nobody is on a DND list there. Okay. So maybe it's okay. You know 100% you're doing a customer service call. Like some customers of ours are in critical patient care. So obviously the patient is not going to complain about the business. So there is a 100% guarantee that nobody is going to complain. Hence, customers are okay to make calls using normal numbers, even in the current scenario. But still, if you talk about by the law, like I said, right, I'm talking about what TRAI is saying. If you go by TRAI, that is a risk you are taking. Okay. Because somebody might mistakenly complain about you, not genuinely, but mistakenly. even still then it is counted as a complaint right now. Okay. And
yeah, the next one is around regarding the DLT portal registration. Does businesses needs to pay? Basically, I think they probably have two telecom partners. So I think while they were trying to register into the second partner, they were asked to pay.
They were asked to pay, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, if currently we got to know you need not pay, if they're asking to pay, then that means even the telecom legal team doesn't know. Like I said, we are trying to go by the TRAI interpretation, but these questions we cannot ask TRAI. We have to ask the operators. So currently the legal team has said, no, if customer has paid in one portal, they don't need to pay. But if the portals are asking to pay, then yeah, that means that you have to pay on every portal you register with. Yeah.
I think the next one is regarding probably the branch executives. Can they call customers from their personal mobile number? Probably introducing about product offering. I'm not sure if that would be.
So if you're calling from your own mobile number, that is fine. That is not being even audited. What TRAI is auditing is business resources. So if you've taken trunks from telecom operators, what are you using it for is what they are auditing. Okay. In fact, some customers have said we will use GSM gateways and use it. But FYI, TRAI has started auditing GSM gateway vendors. So in case you're using a GSM gateway thinking I am getting SIM cards on different people's names, hence it is an individual who is calling. Same case, right? A person calling versus a gateway calling. They have actually started auditing GSM gateway vendors across and asking them to which businesses have they sold the GSM gateways. So sooner or later, you will TRAI or DOT or someone is going to come up onto your business if you have installed a GSM gateway also, which again is out of the books. It is illegal if you go as per the law. Okay. So be very, very aware of GSM gateways also. But an individual calling customers is still fine. That doesn't fall under the purview of the current TCCPR regulations. Okay. So a customer inquired on your website and you're calling, you told your salesperson to pick the mobile and call, that's fine. Oh, okay. Because the
Next
person
one is
calling from
sorry.
his own number. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. The next one is, will the 160 series have a time limit like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.? If then I think
No,
people are worried
160.
how.
No, 160 is a transactional call. So it won't have a time limit, obviously. But what we are worried about is how complex it is to prove that it is a transactional call. We don't know what rules TRAI is coming up with for the transactional calls. Okay. That is where we have to be very, very careful and wary once the 160 number starts. Because like 140 has its own process of DLT upload, which again, if you ask me, this is very, very complicated for businesses to run the show. Okay. But if the government says we have to do it, there's no other way we can, right? So, but that's something we have to wait and watch and see what they come up with. Because 160 for transactional is fine. But how are you going to prove it's a transactional call? What if they ask for a DLT opt-in again, DLT opt-in itself, not too many customers respond on that. While there is a way out to call DND numbers, not too many people would opt in on that. You also know if you do bulk messaging, how many opt-ins do you get? Usually 2% to 5% is the range. 5% is like the superb achievement if you get it on messaging, right? So that's the case.
The next one is, can an entity or business have multiple 140 series?
So this, frankly, last 3 days, even our sales team has been asking us, okay, can we assign multiple 140 numbers to a customer? First, we are not doing it right now because of shortage of numbers, okay? But more importantly, telco legal teams haven't given a written confirmation on this yet, okay? So because of that, we frankly don't know, can we assign multiple 140 numbers to the same entity as per law? Because if they give an email confirmation, then I can say it is, there is an email confirmation, hence it's by the book. Right now, they haven't said, okay. We are trying to assign multiple numbers to Ozontel itself and see if it'll work or not. We were not able to succeed in that right now. Okay. So
Okay.
frankly, no answer on that yet. Okay.
Yeah. Two questions before we move on. One, I think the second one will let Guru kind of answered the first one. I think I'll just share it here. For a real estate company, I think you have kind of covered in the past when we had started, but probably they may have just joined in slightly late, which
Okay.
is that if they get a consent in that website, which you were mentioning, right? How do we reach out to these potential customers? Is the header approval one-time activity, post which we can reach out to all such customers?
So header approval is not a one-time activity. You have to get the consent of the customer, not on your website. You have to get the consent of the customer in the DLT opt-in portal. So that opt-in methods we have it in our further slides, but that's where you will have to get it. Okay. Any consent you're taking on the website has been invalidated by TRAI. Previously, operators have told us this is okay, but that's not okay as per TRAI. They are saying we have defined a process with DLT and you have to follow just that. Okay. Yeah. What is the next question?
Next question, I don't know whether you or Guru or both of you can answer, which is they have a Tata number, but their DLT vendor is, let's say, Vodafone Idea.
Okay.
Will the configuration be compatible?
Okay. So I'll take that. There's no legality in that as such. Basically, yeah, that's what I said in our previous slide here, right? You have a DLT registration on Vodafone, that's fine. The entity ID Tata's portal also shows us, but we cannot assign you a Tata number till you register on Tata DLT also. So you'll have to go and register on Tata DLT to use the Tata number. Okay. And if you don't register and get the header approved by October 1st, we are being forced to stop the 140 series also. That is also a cause of concern. And we got these notices from all operators just yesterday night and today morning. The time period given is like hardly like 5 days. So that's what it is. Okay. But if you're following by the book, you will have to have your header registered with the telco. And if you have given your Tata number and you have Vodafone DLT, it won't work for registration purposes. But for consent, DLT opt-in purposes, it's okay. It will work. Okay. Which is like the later steps where you will get your customer consent. Okay. Okay, now let's move to once the operator approves, then you're legally allowed to make calls to customers. But before that, there is one more step. TRAI wants you to say what category of calls are these, one of the primary important steps. Of course, this should match with your description of the header, which you have submitted already. Also, you should say what type of call this is. Is it a automated IVR call? Is it a person-to-person manual call? Is it a person-to-person auto dialer that you are going to use? If you have a mix of manual and auto dialer, what our team has said is use P2P auto dialer as a selection. Again, this is a screenshot from Tata, but similar fields are available across the operators. So you will have to select these two categories definitely. Then rest of the fields are more or less explanatory. Even for voice, they will ask you give a description. You can just give a script of what your agent speaks or give a description of typically what your agents call for. Like let's say you are an insurance sales process. You can say our agents call our leads on the website, customers who have inquired, and we talk about different insurance policies, how it benefits customer. A brief description of what the agents speak about, that's good enough. And if typically if you have an agent script document, you can just put that text here. Both are still okay and they get approved. Okay. The key points to note here. Okay. Once your header is approved by the operator, TSP is the telecom service provider, you can upload all your voice templates into the DLT portal. Okay. So templates written in text, so you can copy paste agent scripts. If you have a recording, then give brief description of the recording, like I said just now. Okay. Industry selected and type of call should be what the principal entity will do. So you cannot select real estate and do a, for example, an automobile call, or select real estate and do a healthcare call. That then they mark it as a spam or a scam call. Okay. Even this, if you select healthcare and do calls of another industry also, you will get blacklisted again. So 140 is not a safeguard that you won't get blacklisted. You still have to use the number for the purpose you have registered for. Okay. Before we start consent template registration, which is the opt-ins you can get from customers, Amir, let's see, look at the questions.
Yeah. I think the next one is impact of 140 post or on 1st October.
There is no impact as such. Only thing is we have to be registered on DLT portal with the 140 header. Okay. If you're not registered, you can temporarily stop the calls, get that registration done first. Of course, we also have an action that we have to upload on DLT and then your steps start. But this process has to be completed so that we are compliant as per law. I think we will have certain leeway of at least 10-15 days more before people start auditing these things. But if you go by the book, like I said, I'm talking by the book, October 1st is the deadline. Okay.
Yeah, the next one is if someone has received 140 series from us, can they consider that they have registered in DLT portal?
No, they haven't. Right now, because of the entire emergency, we have allocated to our customers on trust that they will give us the entity IDs and we register by October 1st. If you don't share the entity IDs by October 1st, then we will have to stop the calls from 140 as per book. Okay. So while we have allocated 140 numbers already because we know the customers from so long and most of them are doing valid businesses, right? So we just went on trust because we have time till October 1st. But now we haven't yet received from a lot of businesses the entity IDs yet. So one is giving the entity ID. Second is registering on the same telco as we have shared the number with. But that has come out just today. So really sorry about that. But that happened just about 2 hours back, where we got to know that if we have given you a Geo number, you have to be registered on Geo for us to register your header. So, but the registration process is pretty simple, so it doesn't take much time to register. Okay. So just complete it as per the 140 number we have assigned you as a customer. Okay.
Yeah, the next one is, can someone appeal, or that can the business appeal if there is a blacklisting or a warning?
There is a clause 29 as per TCCCPR 2018 guidelines, but even appeal takes about 1 month to 2 months. Okay. Once blacklisted, the appeal also takes time to be considered. Usually, TRAI would say that they have nothing to do with businesses. They only deal with the carriers and registered operators or vendors like us. That's all. Okay. So they will not deal with a end business user as such. Okay. So the clause 29 appeal also will go only to the carrier, because the carrier is the one who is blacklisting you. You can only appeal to the carrier using clause 29. There is a generic TRAI officials mail ID on which you can mail, but usually they don't respond unless the carriers are in favor of you and they also recommend that this is a mistake and please revoke the blacklisting. Okay.
Okay. The next one is with 140 is only for domestic. How can a business make international calls?
That is a complication we also realized. A lot of our customers are doing international calls. And the complication is if we give you a local number, you can also make local calls. Again, that puts you and us both in the gray area. Okay. So that we have covered kind of in the KYC documents in the last slide. We have started enabling customers who are okay to take numbers on their own name. Okay. But even that, to provide the infra, get it done and enable ISD, that's taking some time. Roughly about 10 days is what we estimated, but businesses who are confident you won't do domestic calls, you will use it only for ISD. You can just go back to our sales rep or the account manager who is talking to you. They know the process of KYC which we need and the form you need to sign. Once you do that, we can enable a normal DID for you, but the number is on your business name. So then it's up to you. Are you following these processes which we are talking about in this webinar for a normal DID call also? If you're doing ISD call directly, then of course you're not calling. There's nothing like a DNC complaint which will come. Okay, but fact of the matter is, what if one of your agents by mistake made a domestic call? So that process is in your control then. Okay.
Yeah. The The next one is if one is taking an auto implied consent while registering. If it is mentioned in the term of use that if you register, we will contact you or call you. Would it qualify as transactional call?
No.
And the second is it enough as consent?
No, it's not. Like I think this is the third time we are repeating that, right? This is a telco interpretation which has been put into our minds that consent we take on the website is valid. As per TRAI, the TCCCPR regulation clearly says the opt-in is only on DLT, which is this screen which we are talking about. Okay, so you register your consent template. Like this sample template we wrote is, hi, this is Ozontel Communications. Please consent and allow us to call you. And there will be a simple yes or no, which is sent to the user. User can say a yes or a no. Okay. This, of course, typically is better written by marketing teams because they know the shortest way to write this communication and see which template works for more better opt-ins. Okay. But with consent which is valid is only the DLT consent. Even then, you are supposed to call only using 140 numbers as by the book. You cannot call using a normal number. Okay. Let's move to the next slide. Like this step, pretty obvious. There is a form. You fill up the consent template. Then you check your consent template. It will show as pending first. And if the carrier approves your template, like this is a Tata portal, so Tata team, Tata's legal team will say this is an approved template. With they said 48 hours is the time they have to approve. Okay. Once your templates are approved, then you move on to the next step. Okay. And next step is how do you acquire consent from different customers? Okay. So we've given 3 flows. I'm quickly moving through these slides, but 3 flows. Basically, let's say you are an offline store. Customer can your store person can tell the customer, sir, can you give consent in the POS and we will accept it. But POS is not asking for the consent. Customer says, okay, I'm okay to give consent. Then he gets a SMS. So here some terminology, right? OAP is the originating access provider, which is like, let's say you're using Tata DLT for consent acquisition. Then Tata is the originating access provider. Then this is sent to the terminating access provider, which is like I'm on Airtel. So my operator is Airtel. So they are the TAP, the terminating access provider, who will get this info from the Tata. Airtel will send me an SMS saying this business is asking consent for your opt-in so that they can reach you. I'm in DND, so they can't reach me otherwise by the book. So if I say yes, which is that validation, right? Okay. They're captured in the DLT and they're updated in your DLT portal. Irrespective of, for consent, you can use any operator's DLT portal, which is fine. There is no problem with that. Okay. Now, once you provide the consent, when I say you, the customer provided the consent, your consent is used for scrubbing, which means even using 140 numbers, you can call customers on DND numbers if they have opted in for your business. That is the crux of all this consent template acquisition. Okay. Now this was one flow, right? Quickly, these are different ways in which you can do. First part, API integration is only for the push. Like in the POS system, customer says, I'm okay to receive an opt-in message. Then that's an API trigger, which then sends the actual consent SMS to that user. Okay. Similar thing you can do through a QR code. The QR code actually opens up the DLT portal login itself, which is like step 3. Pretty obvious. You can give a URL to the client. He goes and opens it. The same URL can be a QR code, which the carrier provides you. Okay. SMS or voice, not live yet on any operator right now, which means that you upload 1 lakh numbers and say that just get a consent for this. I think Vodafone has this active now, but Tata, Airtel, we haven't seen this yet. Okay. So these are different modes. Now, how do you as a business consolidate or think through this, right? To simplify, left side, we've given you the process or different workflows through which you can ask for a consent. Okay. Ultimately, what will happen is you are sending this template ID, like that you have different consent templates. So you say which template you want to send to that user, your ID, of course, which is the entity ID, customer's phone number, the date. These details are anyways available. OAP and tab details come through. But using these details, finally, what is happening is the terminating access provider, which is the mobile operator of that customer, sends the SMS, are you okay to receive calls from this business? A simple yes or no. And that is stored in the DLT portal. Okay. And this opt-in, if a customer says, yes, I am okay to receive calls, that opt-in is valid for 1 year exactly. After which, again, that customer goes back into DND scrubbing, which means you can't call the customer. Okay. Now, quickly, if you're using any DLT portal, this is how it will be. Okay. So you can actually type a customer number and click submit to send, send a consent message to them. Okay. This is working on Vodafone directly. So if you do this, it will work. There is a bulk upload also in Vodafone where you can upload all your customers' numbers and say get consent for this. Okay. QR code is generated if you are using a consent template. And typically you can post this QR code in your website also. Like few of you asked the checkbox we ask customers to give consent to call them. That has to be replaced with a QR code if you want a proper DLT opt-in message. So customer will have to scan that and give an opt-in there. Only then it is considered a valid opt-in. Okay. Now, while you are doing all this, right, this consent is not free. This is charged per consent. Like Tata portal shows 3 lakh rupees for 1 lakh consents, which comes to about 3 rupees per consent. Vodafone has 2 lakh 40,000 for 1 lakh consent, so 2.4. Different carriers are showing different prices. I think that will get uniform as more businesses start using this process actually. Till date, hardly any businesses were using the process. So they've kept prices at their own will and wish. That will change as the industry adopts this process and more opt-ins are being requested. I think the prices will come down. But currently it's about highest I've seen is 3 rupees per consent. Lowest is Vodafone, which I saw is 2.4. Okay. Then once you get a consent, like, do you have an API through which I can get consents into a dialer? No. You will have to download as an export. Export as Excel is the only option everyone is providing right now. So there is no automation possible for getting or fetching the numbers who have given consent. This is only a manual export Excel, export as Excel. And this is how you will see the status of the consents which come through. Okay. So actions is, I think, what we start with, right? So one is start your consent acquisition modules if you already have a DLT login, so that your marketing team starts acquiring DLT consents. Okay. Parallelly register for the 140 header in DLT, which we as providers have given you, but now we have to register you and then it's action on both our sides. Okay. And the first step starts with us, then rest of the steps are with you. Okay. And UCC complaint actions, actually you won't get UCC complaints if you are using 140. Then the operator is responsible for everything. We are not. We as businesses, we are not responsible. Okay. Key thing to remember, opt-in is valid for a period of 1 year. Okay. So these are some of the things. Then the final thing, right? In case you are looking at acquiring your own numbers, okay? Like we are also providing numbers on your own name right now as Ozontel, okay? What we need, okay? There is a CAF and UCC undertaking which you will have to sign. While we are giving you the numbers, you still have to sign this as per the TRAI documentation. But just to provide you the numbers, this is the KYC which you will have to provide. This is the same KYC which any telecom operator takes in case you are ordering trunks on your name. Okay. Now, let's say you ordered trunks on your name or you got normal numbers from Ozontel after we got this document signed with you. Okay. What happens? What is the actual regulation? We've given a quick link here. You can search for TCCCPR regulation and you'll get this link. But the crux of the regulation is this. The first violation, and now previously you could give a proof and say, this is not a valid violation, hence disapprove the complaint and hence you are still at 0 count. Given the last 45 days, what has happened? Any complaint which comes through, it is not getting invalidated anymore. So first violation, first complaint is a warning letter. Now, instead of violation, think of this as a complaint. There is no more way to invalidate this. Hence, it's just a warning letter. Second violation, your number is deleted. Okay, the number from which on which the complaints came. Third violation, you're blacklisted for 2 years as a business. So no operator will be able to provide you normal numbers at all. Inbound is not barred though. That TRAI is kind of lenient right now. They said inbound is okay. But even if you go by the book, blacklisting means that all your resources are blocked, inbound and outbound. Okay. But inbound, Guru sir, your comments on inbound as such?
Inbound is perfectly valid. Inbound, there is no UCC complaint that is possible.
No, but what happens after the third violation for inbound?
Yeah, if the third violation is there, both inbound and outbound should be barred.
But is TRAI lenient that, let's say, we as providers, we allow the customers inbound?
Actually, the rule is that both inbound and outbound should be barred. If they have taken a lenient view, they have taken a lenient view. That's all. But there is no immunity or protection because the telecom resource once barred, neither inbound nor outbound, both should not work.
Both should work. Okay.
Should not work.
Got it. So it is more of a call with the carrier or the service provider like us on whether we are barring complete inbound and outbound or only outbound. But as per book, both have to be stopped. Okay. Thank you, Guru sir.
Yeah.
Let's go through the questions now.
Yeah. Yeah, the next one is, does bulk SMS consent cost us or cost the business something?
Yeah, it does. It does. Like I said, right, that Vodafone has 2.4 per consent, 2.4 rupees per consent. It's costly. It's not considered as a SMS right now. And these are packs they have provided on the website. This is not what Ozontel or any provider in the market is charging. This is directly going via the telecom operator on the DLT portal. Okay. So that entire process is being managed by the telcos only directly. Okay. Tata's portal shows it as 3 lakh rupees for 1 lakh consents, which comes to 3 rupees per consent. So even if you do bulk, right, you will at the end, these are prepaid packs like SMS only. So you have to buy the prepaid pack and only then you can send the consent templates. Okay, next one, Amir.
Yeah. Next is for existing customers who are okay to receive calls from, let's say, relationship managers. Do they still have to do DLT process, or services will be normal post KYC?
Post K again, like we said, right? Post KYC services going to normal is okay, but you as a business are still taking that risk. If you're okay with that, yeah, that's fine. Then we as providers won't have a problem because the numbers are on your name. Any complaint also comes on the business's name after the KYC. Okay. So that's a risk, okay? Because see, the same relationship manager is calling the customer. Customer might be okay, but he might have mistakenly complained about this number. We have seen those cases also. But in the current scenario, there is no respite even for that. That is still being considered as a violation. Okay. Like we have a lot of cases of a driver calling a customer or a delivery boy calling a customer, right? These are valid cases. Delivery boy is at the gate and it says, sir, approval de do. There is a call recording also for it. But the customer raised a complaint on this business's number. But the description they have given is scam call for loans. Okay. Whereas this is just a delivery boy, probably a Swiggy delivery boy delivering thing or a Zomato guy delivering. Okay. But basically, still that's being considered as a valid template.
The next one is, I think, that if the customers have given a consent website, but that same does not share a consent DLT, how do we, or what happens if we go?
No, you can't call them, as simple as that. Okay. We're talking by the book, you cannot call them. Okay. So like somebody asked, can I pick my mobile and call that customer? Yes, that doesn't fall into this purview of TRAI and business using resources from business lines from telecom providers. So that's fine. But as a business, the moment you call from a telecom line like a SIP trunk, then this is being monitored. And if a complaint comes through, the consent you've taken on the website is not valid. Only the DLT opt-in. But DLT opt-in, again, like we said, is only for 140. If you call from a normal number and a person is complaining, TRAI is saying, why did you call from a normal number right now? We said don't call. Or why are you calling? Those are the kind of questions we are getting back right now.
Okay. The next one is regarding the DLT API consent. Can they probably do a bulk, which is fire and DLT API consent on the basis of consent received by us or by the business on the website?
So the API is there as per carriers, but nobody shared the APIs with us yet. I don't know if they will share it directly with the principal entities. Because you have a DLT registration, you can check in your DLT portals if there is API access. We could not find it in our principal entity also. Okay. So API access as such, while they've given it in the slides, every operator is committing. As of now, they have not provided it yet. Okay. So automation is not possible at all right now, even for sending the consent or getting fetching the data of who gave the consent, both ways. Okay. Only thing which is a bulk action is just upload of the numbers and sending. Two customers have shown us that they are able to do it from Vodafone portal. Okay. I don't know how, but they are able to do it. Okay. But so again, everything is new for everybody right now for the DLT process, for voice at least. SMS, I think all of us got used to it in the last 1 year or 2 years. But voice is something new for everybody right now, even the operators. Some of the operators didn't have the DLT portal working till about 15 days back. So everything's new, it's coming up. That's what it is. But because TRAI has mandated it, while the regulation is there since 2018, because TRAI mandated it, now every operator is trying to enforce it on everybody. Okay.
Yeah, probably I think we are like out of time. So we'll just take the last question.
Yeah.
I'll mix around 2-3 questions which have come in.
Okay.
One is someone is asking, can we add DLT consent at lead generation page? That's one. Second is, will opt-in required for 160 series as well when that 160 becomes available? The third is consent required only for DND, or does they have to take consent for every number they want to call? Which I think you have kind of converted, but it could be repeated. These three, if you can just address.
Yeah. So you can take DLT consent on the website. Yes, that is there. Like with the QR code, you can do that. Or if operators start giving the API, then we can, of course, somebody says, yes, I am okay to give consent. Then you hit with the API call, right? And then you can do that. Now, second thing about how do you get consent for 160? We don't know. TRAI has not published what is the process for 160 yet. So we don't know that. Okay. Now, what was the third one, Amir?
The third one is consent required only for DND, or do they have to take consent for every number?
This I would refer to Guru, sir. Guru, consent is needed only for DND or all numbers?
All numbers.
But sir, DND scrubbing is only done by 140, right? Normal number calls.
I understand, but a non-DND customer also can make a complaint. The UCC complaint doesn't differentiate whether you are in DND or non-DND. That's point number one. And I also would like to appeal to the all audience on the TCCCPR regime. TRAI is doing a open house right now. TRAI generally conducts and takes the opinions of all the stakeholders. And it was actually closed on 25th because of the feedback from industry. They have extended till 9th of October. That extension letter, I have posted it in the chat box. I would request everyone to share your genuine feedback to TRAI, because the policy needs to be shaped in line with the business requirements. So right now it is appearing a little, I should not use this word in a public forum, little draconian, and too short a time to do so many things, and too costly a thing to do business. So these things need to be brought to the notice of the regulators. I would request you to kindly give your feedback as inputs and thoughts to TRAI. And I'm definitely telling you, TRAI is a very open entity, democratic entity. It takes the views, and whatever are genuine will find a place in the new regulations that are going to come. They have done it so far.
Guru, this is that same one where we published the recommendations day before night, right?
Yes. Now the time is extended till 9th of October.
9th of October, right? Yeah.
9th of October. So now there is an opportunity for everyone to do it. It's available in public domain. And if somebody wants that consultation paper, I can paste it here right now. Just a minute, I'll paste it.
Yeah, sir, do that so that people who are interested can actually go through it, because a lot of questions on transactional calls, we have tried to appeal back because we know the business use cases also. But currently things are as it is. Okay. So it's just that more people asking TRAI or telling TRAI what to do might actually make them think through these things. Because they are not looking at business use cases, right? They are just thinking through something and executing the law, which is not helping. Initial call barred document which TRAI had released. Guru, I think they're talking about the August 13th notification, I think.
Yeah, that is the notification. Correct.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, Prashant. I think we've kind of covered almost all the questions. If you just want to have any closing comments for the next steps or any future sessions, then
Yeah. So one thing as Ozontel, right? We clearly are seeing the pain of reaching out customers from all our customers who are genuine businesses. Okay. So what we are thinking through right now is different ways. This regime is going to change, and this is permanent, by the way. Okay. It is unlike previously where TRAI became lenient again. It's not going to get lenient. Nature of calling itself is going to change, especially for sales. A lot of you, I know, sales, 50% of sales might be happening on the calling business itself, right? That if you go through 140, pickup rates are low right now. These complaints we have seen, these issues we have seen. One is, as people get used to seeing 140 numbers, that all businesses will call using that. That perception that 140 means a spam call will go off, and hence the pickup rates will start increasing again. Okay. Like 6 years back, when we were asking customers use a 080 Bangalore number to make calls, it is a landline. Why would somebody pick the calls was the genuine concern which used to come. But within a year, when all businesses started calling from a Ahmedabad or a Bangalore number, or maybe a Indore number, pickup rates have improved. Okay. This will happen on 140 also. But the main thing is you cannot call DND numbers right now using 140, which will be the case. Okay. And as Ozontel, right, we are thinking through on different strategies of how do you continue to do sales by staying within the law. Of course, law, once it is established, we have to follow it. There is no other way. But how do you continue to do that is something we are doing. And in our next webinar, 160 might happen soon or later, we don't know. But probably we'll be doing a webinar again only for our customers, where we'll come up with different strategies and plans on what can be done. Of course, we might do beta tests with few of our customers and come back with the results also. And we tried these strategies and these work, these did not work. So every other business who is trying to improve sales within the purview of law, you can actually look at different strategies and decide what works for your business. Okay. And this is going to be experimental. Again, I think we will need 2-3 months to, first of all, work within the premises of what TRAI is establishing. There will be lower sales because of calls, and hence we will have to come up with new strategies. And we will have to work out on which are the winning strategies also. So this is going to be something of a joint journey for all of us now. So right now, most of our brains is what we are thinking about is how do our customers, our businesses who are using Ozontel, you can still continue doing the same amount of sales or same amount of business using this. Transactional calls, I think we will get a clarity in the next 2 weeks as per whatever Guru sir has updated internally to us. In the next 2 weeks, I think, Guru sir, we will have clarity mostly on the 160 series.
Yeah, we should have clarity in the next 2 to 3 months. Definitely.
Yeah.
By end of November, we should have some clarity. That's what they say.
2 weeks or 2 months, sir?
2 months. End of November, I'm telling you. October and November are 2 months.
On 160 series as
On
such.
160 series, we'll have clarity. That's what TRAI says and DOT says.
Okay. Okay.
Let us see. And maybe that's a rolling number. Maybe November can become December. That we can't say. But there is a lot of pressure from government also to roll it out quickly. And communication ministry is personally supervising.
But
so
what
we hope it will happen faster.
But have we appealed back like when I say we, all the industry has appealed back to TRAI on using normal numbers till then?
TRAI has listened but has been non-committal.
Non-committal, right?
They have
Okay.
listened. The industry has represented. We were all in a meeting and we have told them in as many words, but they are non-committal. Because the bigger problem today is that the kind of exponential financial frauds that are happening in the country has put
Yeah.
telcos and TRAI and DOT in a very bad light. And it's like a demonetization moment for them. They want to achieve certain kind of restrictive measures to control it, but they are not able to stop the menace through mobile numbers and GSM gateways. It is easier to stop from the landlines and SIP and PRS, which they have done it immediately, and
Yeah.
they will stamp on them also. It will take some time because it's a democratic country and there are courts and there is a lot of litigation and they have to do everything in a very slow and steady manner. They're doing it. They're sized of the matter. They know that genuine enterprises are hit. It's not that they don't know. The principal advisor and the chairman, everybody is very clear that we know that it has happened. Bear with us. We'll come out with something is what they have said. But government being government and regulators being regulators, they'll take their own time. That's for sure.
Okay. So concluding remarks, this is going to be a very dynamic and changing environment next 2 to 3 months. Now, if you know 100% of your calls are transactional, no complaints have come in the past, and no complaints can come. We at Ozontel are also providing normal numbers. You can talk to your account managers. There is a process for it. We will give the numbers on your own name. Okay. So using that, you should be able to make your calls till TRAI comes back. But we as business, we are not giving numbers on our name anymore. Okay. One is because of the gray areas which are there. Second is, of course, the risk is even it could be a human error that you made a call which is a sales call, right? So one of your employees might do that, and still the risk falls on the business. Hence, we want the businesses to think through that and decide, are you okay to continue with normal calls or not? And we wanted it to be an open forum. Okay, this webinar is primarily only to our customers. Okay, so and ensure that you all also understand the risk we are going through. Okay, as businesses, this is the risk you will take if you make calls using normal numbers right now. Then that's an educated call. Based on that, you can decide and then talk to our employees who are in touch with you, and based whatever is needed, we have the enough infra which is coming in the next 1 week or so, and we should be able to move you out onto regular calling if needed. While Guru sir will say, Prashant, why are you saying that? But that's a business call you can take because then the numbers are on your name. Okay. So, but each business has to evaluate that and decide. Okay. But from a book point of view, normal number calling, I would say, is very risky right now for any of us as businesses. Okay. So it's better to call using 140 and take inbound on your normal numbers. Okay. At least temporarily till all of this clears off. So these are concluding remarks from me, Ahmed.
Okay, thank you, Prashant. Thank you, Guru. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I think we have tried to answer every questions as possible. For some of them which we couldn't, but we'll go through and probably send responses via account managers. And what we will be doing is we'll be sharing the recording and the presentation because some of you have asked who wants to refer to the steps of DLT registration. You can go through that. And as Prashant mentioned, we will come back to you with our next webinar when the strategies, some of the thoughts, some of the ideas are kind of coming into shape. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. See you soon.
Bye.